Well, I was so encouraged by everything that just happened so far. We are just about 5 hours into our day. Well, actually, four. But we have right now a small business giveaway. And because it is Mental Health Awareness Month, I want to give some money away to Empower Our Crown and Pinnacle Partnerships. Both of these women have started these nonprofit organizations that one helps children with mental health challenges. That's Pinnacle Partnerships. They do a lot of training. And Empower Our Crown, we will hear from soon-to-be Dr. Pilar Tucker later on today. I was also really encouraged by a woman, and I hope I say her name right, Shayna Collier. She posted on LinkedIn, and she talked about restaurants and how a lot of restaurants are experiencing difficulties during this pandemic. So I wanted to bless two female-owned restaurants, Daryl's Corner and Bar and Oasis Vegan Veggie Parlor. We will be stopping by those two places and delivering a check to them within the next 2 weeks. Well, now that that's out of the way, I have one of my dear friends who I've known over, 40 years. I'm aging myself. And her name is Cynthia Fulton. Mm-hmm. And I like to call her the kindness ambassador. And during this pandemic, I know some of the things that I've done. I made it a point to write all of my neighbors, and I sent them cards. Even in this socially distancing time, I put cards in their mailbox just to send an encouraging word. I know as a longtime friend of mine, you are always giving me encouraging words, and I have watched you be kind to so many people. So I thought this would be a great segment to teach others how to be kind where they are, and kindness doesn't cost money. And so I wanted you to share. There's a couple of stories that I just remember that are near and dear to me. And I wanted you to share about when you were in the grocery store just a couple of weeks ago.
Well, Pastor Mona, thank you so much for this opportunity. About a couple of weeks ago, I was in the grocery store in my neighborhood, and I was in aisle 1, and I guess the other woman was in aisle 4. And I heard the clerk saying to the woman, "You have to put this back. You got to put this back. You got to put this back." And just in my ear, I yelled out, "I'll pay for it." And then I said, inside, I don't know what I'm paying for. And so when I walked over to go and pay for it, the people in the line, they kind of gasped. And they looked like, "Wow, she's going to pay for that?" And he told me the amount of money that it was. And I took my card out, and she was an elderly lady. And I just took my card out, and I just tapped it. And I paid for it, and I didn't want to know her name, and I didn't want her to know my name. And as I walked out, her daughter was there to pick her up, and she said, "Is my mother okay?" And I said, "Yes, she's fine." I said, "She didn't have enough, so I just paid for her bill." And she said, the mom was crying, the daughter was crying, and they both said, "We wish we had the money to give you." I said, No, God told me to do that. And I just had to do what he told me what to do. So that's one act of kindness that it just happened.
Yes, and I know that in this season there are times that people feel like they're standing behind someone who's elderly, and you may have a few extra dollars that you can cover their groceries, or checking in on a single mother, and maybe she has a baby and you can buy a box of Pampers. Being kind, that's one way, because that costs money, but there was something else that you did, and I have hundreds of stories of your kindness, but you had a neighbor that lived across from you, and can you tell about that story?
Yeah. Well, actually, we were in our condo, and I kept saying to my husband, the lady's dog keep barking at our door, and I'm like, what is that? So I open my door, and I see her door cracked. So I'm thinking maybe the dog's trying to tell us something, because dogs do that sometimes. And so I went over, and I was yelling her name out, and I didn't hear her. So of course I got nervous, thinking, oh my gosh, she must have fell or something, and the dog's trying to tell us to help her. So as I was approaching and going in, I'm yelling her name out, Marie, Marie. And finally she came out. And when she came out, I started weeping because I couldn't believe it. And I just hugged her. And I said, I thought something was wrong with you because your dog came, and I thought he was trying to give us a warning about something. And she could not believe how concerned I was about her. But she was so happy, and I don't know if she's ever gotten a hug like that before, but the following day she came to my house and she left a bouquet of flowers and a note saying how kind I was to think of her like that, and I didn't even know her.
Yes. So I think in this season where a lot of us are being socially distant, we can really open our minds to being kind to others. I know that one of the things that we talk about often is just a smile, is a kind thing. One of the things that really is near and dear to me, I am a commissioner for women and girls in the Eastern region, and one of the things that was brought to my attention was that even during this pandemic, as we wear masks, the deaf community is unable to read our lips. However, even if you have a mask on, people can still recognize when you smile. And so being friendly is also a way of being kind. And thinking about other populations that are suffering as a result of the pandemic. The last story that I wanted you to share is the story of the homeless man.
Well, my family and I were going out to eat dinner in the Mass Ave area, and we were walking. There's a lot of homeless people in that area, and as we were walking, there was a homeless guy in a little cove area, in a storefront area. He had a certain smell about him, and I didn't want to make the face that others make when they see the homeless people, because I have my daughter with me, and I don't want to ever let my daughter see me judging someone, especially if I don't know them. So as we were leaving out, and Rebecca, my daughter, and I, we go walking, and we're waiting for my husband, and I hear the homeless guy making these noises, and I'm thinking, what is he saying? And he kept saying, and I'm thinking, what is he saying? And then he said, and I said, I think he's saying my name. And all of a sudden, I looked at him, and he said my name. And as he said my name, he got up out of where he was laying and reached his hands out to give me a hug. He hugged me so tight. He knew my name. He asked me about my brother. He asked me about every member in my immediate family, all my sisters and brothers. And then he just started talking to me as if he knew me. But I did not remember him. And my daughter and my husband were there, and they're looking like, what is this? And I could not believe it. I'll never in my life ever forget that. And then we just hugged. I introduced him to my daughter and my husband, and we all hugged and embraced. We prayed for him, and we left. The following week, I went back to look for him. I could not find him. I could not find him, Pastor Mo.
Well, I think the amazing thing about that story is that, that you embraced him. And I think in this season, there are a lot of people that have different faces on. They may not be homeless. They could be homeless. The essential workers, the person in the grocery store, the people that are collecting carts, the person that's standing in front of you, while you're in line waiting to get into the grocery store. There are so many ways that we can be kind, so many ways that we can extend ourselves. And I just wanted us as women to, hear a couple of these stories so that even when we emerge, there are some people, and we often forget about this, that there are there are loads of people that are home alone, and they've been home alone for months. And we can text someone, we can pick up the phone and call someone, we can send someone a card in the mail, but we just need to learn how to be kind to one another. And even though we can't embrace each other right now, there are other forms of embrace that we can do to show love, to show appreciation, and to show gratitude. And I just wanted to introduce everyone to one of my friends who, again, I call her the kindness ambassador. And I'm praying and I'm hoping that you will take these few tips and that you will incorporate them into your day, into your lifestyle, to be kind to those that are around you. So thank you.
Thank you.